The girl could never have imagined in her dreams that the old-fashioned phone she stepped on was worth $1 million. When her boyfriend discovered his phone was broken, he immediately proposed to break up because the phone contained something very precious. Then David ran into the phone store barefoot and said whoever could fix his broken phone would be rewarded with $1 million. But when the staff saw him, they were all starstruck because he was a well-known famous singer. At this time, a fan wanted to give him a smartphone, but David only wanted to fix that old phone. Fortunately, the store owner finally fixed the phone. It turned out there was a message from his first love Lucy from 8 years ago, and this message was his reason to live on. At the wedding venue 8 years ago, David heartlessly abandoned his first love, choosing to run away to pursue his dream of becoming a star. And 8 years later, he successfully became a household name as a big star. He thought they would never meet again in this life, but unexpectedly, an accident brought them together again. That day David accidentally saw on TV that his best friend from his youth had died in a car accident, and when he attended the funeral, he happened to meet Lucy. She was holding a little girl's hand at the time, but when she saw David, she walked away immediately. What David didn't know at the time was that little girl was actually his own daughter. But when Lucy saw David again, she walked straight towards him. Unexpectedly, Lucy gave him a hard punch and then left. And David, who was hit, remained silent because he knew he had wronged Lucy terribly. David wanted to find her address, so he asked his high school classmates. But because of David's wedding escape back then, they didn't want to help him. Later, when David was wandering around the town, he happened to spot Lucy, so he followed her inside and learned that she now owned this flower shop. David wanted to apologize for running away from the wedding 8 years ago, but Lucy had already given up on him and told him, "You've abandoned everyone in this small town." Just then, the little girl from yesterday walked in and called her mom. This made David suspicious, but when the little girl saw David, she said she knew him and mentioned that her mom often listened to his songs. This made David realize that Lucy had never forgotten him, and she didn't know how to explain. Then David tentatively asked about the little girl's age and learned that she was 7 years old. David was shocked upon hearing this because it matched perfectly with when he left Lucy. After the little girl left, Lucy chose not to hide anymore and told David the whole truth. It turned out that after David ran away from the wedding that day, Lucy discovered she was pregnant shortly after. At that time, Lucy had sent him countless messages and voicemails, but she never received any reply. Finally, she had no choice but to give up. But when David returned home, he was very angry and questioned his father. Why didn't they contact him when Lucy was pregnant? But his father explained he had tried calling countless times and attempted many ways to contact him, even going to his concerts, but could never reach him. In the end, they had to give up after David heard his father's words, yet his heart was filled with endless self-blame. The next day, David came to the flower shop again to make up for his previous mistakes, so he took the initiative to ask to see his daughter. But Lucy hesitated when she heard this because she wasn't sure whether her daughter would accept David. So during dinner, Lucy tentatively brought up the subject of her father to her daughter, but her daughter seemed to have known all along that David was her father. Then she said something that surprised her mother.